Yeah, Ken Boyd, the name. I joined in February of '41. I'd be, I guess, 22 years old, and enlisted out of Haverhill, Massachusetts.
What was your bomb group and your position in the bomb group, and how many missions did you fly?
Bomb group was the 491st, the 855th Squadron, and I was pilot. And 35 missions.
Which plane did you fly, or planes?
Well, you mean B-24.
What was the name? Do you remember the names?
From the looks of it, we had 3 or 4 different planes. I always thought we had flown basically one. They've got us in some of these letters that come out, 3 or 4 different ones. But I always thought, the one we were in was the Joker. And then they've got us in the what? That Flying Goose or something? What was that outfit there? I'm talking to a ball turret gunner. So I don't really know what it ended up with. We did have several different planes.
Tell me, why did you join the service?
Oh, I like all kids. I liked planes. You know, I made model airplanes, gliders, and rubber band powered planes. Paul Guilo out of Wakefield, if you're from around Boston, he still is. He's big in model planes now, and aircraft and stuff.
Can you tell us about your first mission?
Let's see. Well, I believe it was to those flying bombs deals. Do you know Charlie? He's looking me up over there. He's my prompter.
It was June 2nd.
Was it? Yeah.
Do you remember that mission? Do you remember how you felt?
Like everybody else, excited, I guess. And I don't know if I had the sense to be afraid, you know, because those first missions were not too bad. And of course, fighters had pretty well disappeared. Heavy flak was. I think you got more afraid as you went on into your missions. You know, like you get superstitious when I think I had 23 when the squadron commander called me in one day and said, "I got bad news for you." He says, "You're going to have to fly 35." You know, and we'd been flying some lead crew, so we didn't get too many missions in. Like some of the others were in, boom, 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 and they were gone.
Well, how many had you anticipated?
25.
And
when we first went in there, it was 25 missions.
Oh, how come they extended it?
You have to ask the powers that be. I don't know. I never did figure out. Well, I guess maybe they, you know, needed experienced bomb crews in the final days there. Yeah. That would be my guess.
Well, you talked about being superstitious as the number or feeling probably more pressured as the missions mounted. Did anybody on your crew, or did you have any good luck charms to keep you safe?
None that would be, you know, like publicized where a guy took his teddy bear or something like that. No. And I wasn't basically superstitious. It was just the idea that if you'd got through 23, now suddenly you only had 2 more to go, you know, you're looking the odds. But when they add another 10 on top of that, you think, well, your odds decrease, I guess, but a mathematician may say, no, it's no worse flying 1 than flying 100, you know, I guess.
What did you consider your most dangerous mission?
I would guess a mission to either the one to Eindhoven or resupply, where we come in, you know, low level over the Zeta Z. We flew. Were you in on that one?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, we were resupplying the, I guess, paratroops that were in circle there, and we had to come in like 200 feet and then pull up and drop all these supplies. That was one, and then the other one was when we went to Munich, and I guess the whole division ran into a front there, and they just scattered like chickens, you know. And I come out on top, about 24,000 feet, with a few other planes popping up, but no tail markings that I recognized. And from then on, man, we had some fun. We were right down on the deck and you know, evasive action. I was trying to fly it like a fighter because they were popping away at us at 10,000 feet. And we were right down to, I'd say, probably 10 or 15 feet above the ground at times. And of course, we used a lot of fuel, and we finally went back to England and landed at a little dirt field where they built, one plane a month. Handicapped people built them, and we were flying towards London, and I sent out a mayday, and some English gal come on there, and she says, well, you must be in sight of one of our airdromes. And I said, I'm all over the woods. So I told these guys, I said, you guys can jump if you want, but I said, I'm going to try to bring it in. I saw a plowed field down there, and I thought that's where I'd take it in. About that time, I saw a big old, I guess it was it the Handley Pages? They were the twin-engine job. Sterling. Looked like it was landing right in the middle of the woods about 10 miles away. And I said, well, if he can land there, I guess I can go in. So I followed him in. And we made a pretty bumpy landing, but we were one of the few 24s that hadn't snapped its nose wheel off in an emergency landing, And they told us afterwards, I didn't really, well, I guess I was too busy trying to get into that little tiny field. And it was handling funny, and found out afterwards that the ailerons were shot out on it. So, but they said that a buzz bomb went right, just missed the top of us. Did you know that, Charlie?
No.
No?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Anyway, so we got there, and probably 400 people. They had alerted the people in the factory, because I had sent out a mayday, and they're all out in there cheering, all these Englishmen out there, So they invited us in for dinner, which we did. We stayed there, and then I said, well, I want to take this thing back to the airbase. So I said, how about some gasoline and fuel? The most they could give me was 500 gallons, which was plenty. But that was a small field, a tiny field. So we lined up one end of it and opened everything up, including the superchargers, which you don't usually do on takeoff. And that poor woman behind there, she had her laundry out. And I don't think she's found her laundry yet, with all those 4 engines blasting and holding the brakes. Well, we made it home anyway. And when I get in there, my buddy had all my belongings packed. My bed was bare and everything, because we were missing in action. That was the worst one. That I can
When you went to Munich, did you drop your bombs?
Where did we drop them on the? We dropped them on. No, we didn't. Because we were completely. We never did get to Munich. We were completely in these heavy clouds. When we came down through them, was probably we broke out about 10,000 feet. The whole division got all messed up that day. I think we dropped them over the Wash or someplace in the North Sea. That was over in England. That was our crew minus our navigator, who never got into the photos. He didn't like to be photographed. And that's myself. This is Tommy Watson, bombardier. He's here. Charlie Gotham, Balter gunner. He's here. Darrell Reynolds, a waist gunner. He died a few years ago. Charlie Cram from Maine. He's from California. This Charlie Cram from Maine, engineer gunner. Fred Maples, and he was old. He was 33 years old, flying as an operator, radio operator. He lives up in outside of Fort Worth, but he's had some strokes. We tried to get him to come. This fellow here was our Jarrett, was our tail gunner. He got killed on a mission coming back from France, about 5 miles out of France. Those flak barges they had, they caught him, and. This was Richard's his name, and most of the other people I'm in contact with, but I lost complete contact with him. He was from Warwick, Rhode Island, and for the first 8 or 10 years I knew where he was. He was a other waist gunner. Ray Covert, he's coming here, so there'll be Ray Covert, myself, pilot, Tommy Watson, the bombardier who was there. That's the 3 there, and there's going to be 5 of us here from our crew, which will be pretty good. Okay, this is taken right down here in Pueblo. It's where we trained as we were the last OTU to go over, last complete operational training unit. And I came in from a 12th Anti-Sub on the East Coast, and became their first pilot. And I think most of these fellows were previously anti-sub personnel. They had been flying before. I know these two guys were. Well, this is myself with that brand new plane, Ford-built B-24, delivered out to Pueblo, and that's the one we took overseas. He would come from a family of two boys, just two boys. His brother was a Marine, and he was killed in the Tarawa, so that family lost both the boys, which was, not good. Okay, that's a photo of Bill Coughlin. He was from Boston, and myself from Haverhill, and I think we were standing on the train. We were going to be aviation students. That was before, because we didn't have college, so you took that. It'd be like the general equivalency test today. And if you scored enough points, you could become a pilot or something. And we were on our way down to Maxwell Field, Alabama. Okay, this is myself and Tommy Watson, who's here, the bombardier. Right after we landed from coming across from Fortaleza. Was that where we took off? Belém in Brazil, and landed at Dakar. We were, and it was hot, and that was a picture of us. That's a picture again of Tommy Watson, the bombardier, and he made friends with an Englishman over there by the name of Edwards, and Tommy was training to be a veterinarian, and he is a veterinarian now, and he went in there and taught the horse how to kneel and jump and everything else. So he got fresh eggs and milk and stuff like that when we couldn't even buy them, and the guy was giving them to him. Okay, we went on a mission to France, and we were told definitely not to drop our bombs if there was any cloud cover, because we'd been killing off enough Frenchmen, and they were getting very sensitive about it. So I told Tommy to pick a target of opportunity coming back, and there is a crossroads there. And he dropped them, and the bombing was absolutely excellent, because he was one of the best bombardiers in the whole group, I would say. I mean, not just mine, but by general consensus. So Colonel Goldenberg called me in after the mission and said, Lieutenant Boyd, he said, that is excellent bombing. So I was already figuring my captain's part by that time. His next sentence destroyed that. He said, but what in the heck, that wasn't the word he used, doing bombing in Apple Orchard. He said, didn't you see the houses down there? Well, how can I see them at 20,000 feet? And you look way out there as a pilot, right? He said, I think you killed a few more Frenchmen. So that was, I never flew another lead crew, just deputy lead after that. I guess they figured I was too inclined to knock them off over there. Well, this is the resupply mission to Eindhoven, and where we came in at about 200 to 300 feet and dropped supplies to them. And you can see that the Dutch had flooded everything to impede the Germans. And I was flying deputy lead, and this Captain Hunter was flying lead. And after we dropped our supplies, they said we could go out either on the deck or at altitude. And he elected to go altitude, and at about 900 to 1,000 feet, he got hit by, I think it was a 20 millimeter right under his wing. And we don't know what happened. I called him, and it was dead silence, and it just sort of was like a ghost ship. It just come right underneath us and kind of peeled off. And they got that picture. And then somebody got another picture where he hit a haystack, and one member rolled out of the waist window all in flames, and I guess he was in a Dutch hospital for a long time. So then I took him home, but I went back. I took him down on the deck. I didn't like the idea of shooting at us up there in the sky. So we'd come home on the deck, successfully. Oh, about 1950, I was working for the telephone company, and I had sold a piece of land, made some money, and I bought this Republic CB. It's a 4-place pusher and fib. And this is up in a little spot pond up in a little lake in Maine. And I loved that. But later on, my wife and another couple and I got stranded out on the Atlantic Ocean for 24 hours, and everybody thought we were dead. And we weren't. I made a successful instrument landing in the fog. And lived to tell about it. In fact, went up to Nova Scotia about 3 weeks later, but my wife would never fly on that again, so I finally sold it. Yeah, this is a plane, earlier plane that you saw a picture of, assigned to us at Pueblo. as I say, made by Ford Motor people. And that's the one we took across and flew most of my missions in that. Well, this is taken at Langley Field, Virginia. It's flying on anti-sub patrol with the old B-18s, which were an atrocious plane after they got through putting MAD and stuff on it. And I think, yeah, I was a flight officer there. And then they made us a first lieutenant, because it didn't work out if you were a flight officer and you had a captain and any other member of the crew positions.
What do you remember about the English people?
I liked them. I found they were close to, I come from Canada, and they're very close to Canadian people. But I went up to Scotland a lot on my leave, because they were even closer to the Canadian people, you know.
Can you tell me briefly, what was the biggest stress of your job, and what was the biggest, most satisfactory aspect of it?
Well, I don't know. I didn't really feel, as you say, stress. I was, you know, when you came in the morning and everything was fine until I opened up that curtain and they said, well, there's 3,000 guns shooting at you up here. That was very stressful. And when my tail gunner died, that was pretty rough, you know, right into his family and stuff like that. What was the other question? I got a bad memory.
What was the most satisfactory aspect?
Well, just completing all my missions and doing my job and you know, bringing most of the guys back safely.
Tell me, what would you want the world to remember, or history to remember, about your contribution to the war effort?
Well, I guess I did like most of the other kids just out of high school. We just went in and did it. And to remember that, whether that would happen in today's wars and politics, I'm not too sure about that. Whether I'd be a gung-ho, you know, military man or not. I don't think I would.
How did the war change you?
Well, it's sure, you know, broadened your outlook, and in my particular case, I figured if I could do what I did, that because I became an entrepreneur then, and nothing kind of bothered me, any kind of a challenge as far as in business or anything like that. But I would say it was a lot better than if I'd stayed at home.